Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Most people believe that success hinges on luck, innate talent, or pure chance. But what if the real spark behind achievement doesn't come from external forces at all? What if there's an internal blueprint, a set of principles that, once discovered, can transform every aspect of your life? According to Napoleon Hill in his legendary work Think and Grow Rich, these principles have guided visionaries, turned ordinary individuals into history makers, and allowed people to turn desperate circumstances into triumphant comebacks. Here's the twist. The majority of us overlook them, distracted by the daily grind and limiting beliefs we think are just the way it is. If you've ever felt close to giving up on a dream or wondered why some people seem to convert thoughts into tangible success while others remain stuck, you're definitely in the right place. We're going deep into the core principles Hill uncovered: desire, faith, autosuggestion, specialized knowledge, imagination, planning, decision, persistence, and more. We'll break down the how and the why. We'll reinterpret them, add modern psychological insights, and above all, reveal how these lessons can be implemented in your everyday life. By the end, you'll see why this part of Napoleon Hill's classic goes beyond mere motivation, transcending into a scientifically grounded, psychologically resonant blueprint for personal and financial growth. By the time you finish watching, you'll discover how a simple shift in perspective can help you reclaim lost dreams, channel unstoppable determination, and reshape the world around you. Whether you're an entrepreneur wondering how to ignite your next big idea or someone navigating unexpected challenges, you'll find invaluable tools for turning intangible thoughts into very tangible results. In Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill isn't merely discussing financial wealth. He's talking about the broader concept of abundance, riches in relationships, mental well-being, fulfillment, and personal development. That's a crucial distinction. Money is part of the conversation, but the deeper focus is on cultivating a mindset that magnetically attracts opportunities and solutions. Hill wrote this book after studying hundreds of people who rose from modest or even dire beginnings to positions of remarkable success. He believed that anyone could replicate these triumphs, provided they mastered specific mental and behavioral principles. The real magic of Think and Grow Rich is its fusion of psychology, human potential, and relentless perseverance. The brilliance lies in taking intangible forces, our thoughts, desires, faith, and showing how to convert those invisible assets into tangible gains. But don't be mistaken, the journey requires effort. As Hill repeatedly warns, you must bring burning passion and an unwavering belief to spark your dreams into reality. Desire, the first step to riches. Napoleon Hill begins by stating that desire is where everything starts. Think of it as the ignition key of your life's engine. You can have a fantastic car or an extraordinary mind, but without turning that key, you'll remain idling. Hill famously tells the story of Edwin C. Barnes, a man who had nothing in the way of money, formal education, or social advantage. What Barnes did have, however, was a burning desire to become a business associate of Thomas Edison. This was no mild preference, it was an obsession. He believed so strongly that he literally hopped a freight train to approach Edison in person, looking disheveled yet unwavering in his conviction. Hill points out that Barnes didn't say, "I want a job with Thomas Edison to pay my bills." He said, "I've come to go into business with you." That nuance changed his posture, his mindset, and ultimately his destiny. Over time, Barnes found his chance to prove himself by selling Edison's dictation device, which no one else seemed enthusiastic about. He sold it successfully, forging a partnership that solidified his place in history. In modern psychological terms, desire clarifies our goals, energizes our actions, and helps the brain lock onto relevant opportunities. Research in neuroscience suggests that when we have a well-defined, passionate goal, our reticular activating system, RAS, in the brain effectively filters in the information we need to achieve that goal. So when Hill talks about burning desire, he's essentially describing an intense focus that keeps you alert to any path or clue leading to your chosen destination. Imagine you're a guitarist who daydreams about performing at a sold-out show. You strum a few chords daily while half watching your favorite series. Your desire is lukewarm, more like a nice idea. Contrast that with someone who can't sleep because they're busy watching concert footage, analyzing guitar techniques, and visualizing themselves on stage. They're investing in lessons, jamming with local musicians, and seizing every performance opportunity. The difference is night and day. The first scenario is more like, "Yeah, that would be cool," The second scenario is, I need this as much as I need air. One is an idle interest, the other is a burning desire. So what are the practical steps you can take now to ignite burning desire? 1. Define exactly what you want. Don't say, I'd like a better job. Specify, I want to become a project manager at a tech startup earning $100,000 within 12 months. Or, I want to launch a successful online marketing firm netting 6 figures by next year. Vague desire yields vague results. 2. Pin down your why. Hill emphasizes a meaningful why. Ask, why does this matter? For one person, the reason might be to support aging parents. For another, it could be the thrill of innovation or the drive to create a legacy. That why is crucial during tough days. 3. Set a deadline. Hill says desire must be time-bound. This isn't about pressuring yourself blindly. Rather, a deadline compels you to prioritize and take consistent steps. 4. Visualize daily. Spend a few minutes each morning and night visualizing your desired outcome as vividly as possible. This technique primes your mind and unleashes more motivation. 5. Commit and burn the ships. A phrase often paraphrased from Hill's story. Do not allow for fallback plans that dilute your main objective. If you want to start a new venture, commit to it so fully that you'll push through the difficulties without second-guessing whether you should quit at the first obstacle. Desire is your starting block, but desire alone isn't enough. You must fuel it with something that keeps you moving when external validation or quick wins aren't there. That crucial element is faith. Faith, the second step to riches. Hill presents faith not strictly in a religious sense, though spiritual belief can be an aspect, but rather as unshakable confidence in your ability to achieve your desire. It's that sense of inner conviction that says, this will happen, long before you see any material evidence. Faith, as Hill explains, is a state of mind we can cultivate through practice. It's not reserved for a chosen few. In contemporary terms, this aligns well with concepts like self-efficacy, the belief in your capacity to accomplish specific tasks. Psychologist Albert Bandura found that people with strong self-efficacy bounce back from setbacks faster and typically challenge themselves more. Similarly, Carol Dweck's work on the growth mindset suggests that believing in your potential to grow and improve drastically changes outcomes in learning, skill building, and resilience. Let's consider a real-life scenario loosely inspired by many entrepreneurial journeys. Picture a single mother who dreams of creating her own consulting firm, focusing on financial planning for women. She's short on funds, has no big-name backing, and is juggling child care with multiple part-time gigs. Yet she quietly nurtures unshakable faith in her plan. She invests the few spare hours she has into acquiring new certifications, networking online, and building a referral base. Everyone around her might think she's being unrealistic, but that faith, bolstered by small wins, propels her forward. Over time, she signs her first few clients, delivering outstanding service that quickly generates word-of-mouth buzz. In 2 years, she's left the part-time gigs behind and has a thriving business. While outsiders see an overnight success, they miss the years of unwavering belief and incremental progress that paved the way. This story echoes how Hill views faith in action, a mental commitment that precedes all visible triumphs. One of Hill's major tools for developing faith is autosuggestion, which we'll explore as the next major principle. For now, understand that affirming powerful statements to yourself is not delusional hype. When done authentically and consistently, these statements gradually recondition your subconscious, decreasing self-doubt and reinforcing the belief that your goal is within reach. Here are simple ways you can cultivate faith. 1. Daily affirmations. Write down a statement of your goal and read it aloud twice a day. Include emotive words like, I am thrilled to be earning, or I am deeply grateful for the success I'm creating in. Words with emotional punch speed up internal acceptance. 2. Surround yourself with the faithful. Spend time with people who encourage and challenge you rather than the ones who dismiss your dreams. You can also digitally immerse yourself by following mentors and success stories on social media, podcasts, or online groups. 3. Stack quick wins. Break your main objective into small, doable tasks. Achieving quick wins, like finishing a short course, hitting a mini milestone, proves to your mind that you can succeed, thus building your faith muscle. 4. Visual evidence. Keep a visual board or journal of your accomplishments. Seeing how far you've come nurtures faith and how far you can still go. 5. Positive self-talk. Counter any limiting belief immediately. If you catch yourself saying, I can't do this, replace it with, I'm learning how to do this effectively. Your mind believes what you consistently tell it. Faith makes your desire feel achievable, but there's a practical bridge between harboring this inner confidence and embedding it so deeply in your subconscious that it stirs you to action. That bridge is the power of autosuggestion. This is how you can program your mind for success. Autosuggestion, the third step to riches. Autosuggestion, in Hill's terminology, is the communication channel between your conscious and subconscious mind. Whatever you repeatedly say, visualize, or feel with strong emotion gets absorbed by the subconscious. Over time, these messages crystallize into beliefs, behaviors, and outcomes. Today, psychologists call a similar concept self-talk, and they emphasize its influence on mood, habits, and performance. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, often involves recognizing and altering negative internal dialogues to foster healthier mental states. This is precisely what Hill anticipated decades earlier. If you consistently feed your subconscious with negativity, you'll manifest self-sabotaging actions. If you feed it positivity and possibility, you'll spark creative problem-solving, persistence, and resilience. Try this exercise. For the next 7 days, set aside 1 minute each morning to declare a short, positive statement, aloud with conviction about a specific goal. For instance, I'm excitedly landing 3 new high-quality clients for my design business this month. Write the statement, say it out loud, and visualize having those new clients. Notice the mental shift each day. You might become more proactive about marketing, more open to networking events, or more confident in your proposals. This is the subtle power of autosuggestion in daily life. To summarize, here is how to use autosuggestions effectively. 1. Repetition with emotion. It's not enough to say, "I will succeed" in a dull, flat tone. Like Hill underscores, put feeling behind your words. Enthusiasm, gratitude, determination. Emotional charge cements ideas into your subconscious faster. 2. Mirror technique. Many find it more potent to speak these affirmations in front of a mirror. When you look yourself in the eye and deliver the statements with sincerity, it intensifies the conviction. 3. Tie it to a routine. Hook your autosuggestion practice to daily rituals. For example, say your affirmation right after brushing your teeth every morning and right before you turn off your bedside lamp at night. 4. Guard your input. Hill insists that the subconscious is always listening. So watch the negative news, gossip, or discouraging people you let into your mental space. Curate your mental diet. 5. Refine as you grow. As you progress, refine your statements to keep them challenging yet believable. The magic lies in the sweet spot. A statement bold enough to stretch you but not so outlandish that your mind dismisses it altogether. Picture this scenario. You vow to eat healthier, yet every time you walk past the fridge you mutter, "I can't resist that double fudge cake." By the 3rd day, guess what? You're devouring that cake. Why? Because every time you repeated, "I can't resist," you are feeding your subconscious the message, "Eat the cake, you have no willpower." Autosuggestion works both ways. Flip it to, "I'm becoming the kind of person who chooses healthy options easily." Repeat it each time you see the fridge and you'll see a different outcome. Autosuggestion is how you train your mental garden, pulling out the weeds of negativity and planting seeds of success. But seeds still need the right soil and nutrients. According to Hill, one of the richest nutrients is specialized knowledge. Why specialized, and how does it differ from general education? Specialized knowledge, the 4th step to riches. Many people assume that knowledge is power. Hill refines that into knowledge is only potential power. The real power surfaces when that knowledge is organized and applied to specific ends. He distinguishes general knowledge from specialized knowledge. General knowledge might make you a trivia champion, but specialized knowledge is what helps you create tangible results in a given domain. Consider the abundance of free information online. We live in an era where you can look up anything instantly. But does that automatically make you successful? No. Success comes from curating the right knowledge and applying it effectively. For example, countless YouTube videos can teach you about investing, but do you apply that knowledge to create a solid investment strategy? Do you tailor it to your risk tolerance, or do you dabble haphazardly? Think about a web developer focusing exclusively on the e-commerce platform for a specific type of retailer, say sustainable clothing. Rather than trying to be a jack of all trades, they learn every nuance of that platform, from payment integrations to shipping modules. They understand the branding, the target demographic, and how to optimize user experiences for eco-conscious consumers. Clients in that niche are willing to pay a premium for the developer's specialized skill set. This echoes Hill's notion. Specialized knowledge that's highly relevant to solving specific problems is invaluable. Practical methods you can use to acquire specialized knowledge. 1. Identify your passion and market need. Look for a convergence point between what excites you and what the market wants. If you're passionate about baking but the market is oversaturated with general bakeries, can you specialize in gluten-free, vegan cakes with artistic flair? 2. Never stop learning. It doesn't matter if you have a PhD, MBA, or are self-taught. Keep upgrading your skills. Read books, take online courses, attend workshops, or find mentors. Hill himself insisted that one's formal education is just the beginning. 3. Join mastermind groups. Find communities, either local or online, dedicated to your field. Exchange ideas, solve problems together. Your specialized knowledge will multiply when fueled by collective brainstorming. 4. Hands-on experience. Hill emphasized that truly valuable knowledge often comes from doing. A skilled mechanic who has taken apart and rebuilt hundreds of engines typically has more specialized knowledge than someone who's merely read about engines in textbooks. 5. Teach what you know. Teaching or mentoring forces you to structure your knowledge and refine your understanding, which deepens your expertise. The more you articulate your specialty to others, the sharper it becomes in your own mind. Let's say you're a new parent determined to become a baby sleep expert for your little one. Instead of reading every parenting blog that contradicts each other, you decide to study one proven method thoroughly. Maybe it's a step-by-step system from a pediatric sleep consultant. You focus your entire approach on that technique, meticulously logging nap times, nighttime routines, room temperature, and more. Neighbors might throw random advice at you. Did you try singing old country ballads at 3 a.m.? Or have you heard about essential oils? But you politely ignore them because you have specialized knowledge that you're actually applying. That's specialized knowledge at its best. While everyone else scrambles around with general advice, you have a handle on the situation. You've gathered your specialized knowledge. Amazing. But how do you transform this knowledge together with your desire, faith, and autosuggestion into breakthroughs? That's where your imagination becomes the creative catalyst. Imagination, the fifth step to riches. Hill breaks imagination into two types: synthetic imagination and creative imagination. Synthetic imagination involves rearranging existing concepts and facts into new combinations. Creative imagination taps into, as Hill describes, the infinite intelligence, bringing forth ideas that seem entirely new. In simpler modern language, one might call these innovation by remixing versus original conceptual breakthroughs. But why does imagination matter? Napoleon Hill stresses that ideas are the foundation of every fortune. Physical resources like money or property can expand once you know how to generate and execute compelling ideas. Whether you want to build a tech startup, become a best-selling author, or revolutionize your local bakery, imagination is your design tool. Consider Steve Jobs reimagining the smartphone. The building blocks, touch screens, phone calls, internet browsers all existed. But by combining them elegantly and focusing intensely on user experience, Apple transformed not just phones, but also how we communicate, play, and work. That's synthetic imagination at its highest level, remixing existing technologies into a fresh, groundbreaking product. Historical inventors like the Wright brothers or innovators like Nikola Tesla often credited hunches or flashes of insight they couldn't fully explain. They had formal knowledge for sure, but also moments that seemed to come from a deeper well of creativity. Hill believed that when you cultivate desire, faith, and specialized knowledge, you open the channel to these sparks of creative imagination, sudden solutions that come in the shower, on a walk, or even in a dream. But how do you cultivate an imaginative mindset? 1. Daily brainstorm sessions. Spend 10-15 minutes writing down as many ideas as possible about your main project or life goal. Don't judge or evaluate. Let the ideas flow. Even seemingly wild suggestions can spark relevant breakthroughs. 2. Feed your mind with variety. Read widely, watch documentaries, visit art exhibits. Do anything that exposes your brain to new stimuli. Innovation rarely happens in isolation. It's often the cross-pollination of diverse inputs. 3. Relaxation and incubation. Creativity loves a calm mind. Many breakthroughs happen when people step away from the problem, on a walk, lying in bed, taking a shower. Schedule moments of rest or low-intensity tasks so your subconscious can do its magic. 4. Ask what if. Constantly question the status quo. What if I combine these two approaches? What if there's a simpler way? What if we flip the process around? 5. Document your key discoveries. Keep a small notebook or a note-taking app handy at all times. You never know when an insightful idea will pop up. Hill would argue that these flashes are glimpses of your creative imagination connecting with bigger truths. Having imaginative ideas is wonderful, but unorganized dreams can easily fade away. To translate imagination into tangible outcomes, Hill emphasizes the necessity of organized planning. Organized planning, the sixth step to riches. Hill consistently asserts that desire, faith, autosuggestion, specialized knowledge, and imagination lay the foundation for success. But it's in organized planning that your daydream transforms into a real venture. Think of it as the difference between someone fantasizing, "It'd be awesome to travel the world," and the person who maps out a year-long itinerary, budgets meticulously, books flights, and arranges remote work. One remains a pleasant thought, the other shapes actual experience. A key element in organized planning, according to Hill, is forming what he calls a mastermind group, which is essentially the practice of aligning with individuals who complement your skills and share your vision. Your group might include mentors, business partners, or even supportive friends and family with relevant expertise or connections. But what are the essentials of a solid plan? 1. Definite goal. Revisit your burning desire. Everything in your plan must revolve around it, or you risk scattering your efforts. 2. Timelines and milestones. Think of your overarching objective as a mountain. Break it down into smaller hills. For each hill, assign a timeline and the resources you'll need. 3. Allocate responsibilities. If you're collaborating, clarify who does what. Vagueness leads to confusion and unproductive meetings. 4. Contingency strategies. Hill's concept of persistence ties heavily into planning. If approach A fails, you should already have approaches B and C sketched out. 5. Regular review. Plans aren't static. Adjust them based on feedback and performance metrics. Remain flexible but never lose sight of the end goal. Picture an aspiring fashion designer who decides to create an eco-friendly clothing line. She's got the raw ideas, imagination, a deep passion for sustainability, desire, and faith that she can carve out a niche. But if she stops at "I have a great idea," she'll stall. Instead, she develops an organized plan. She researches a market gap in affordable, eco-friendly sportswear, assembles a skilled team, sets a clear launch timeline, carefully manages resources, and continually adapts based on customer feedback. As Hill would predict, such purposeful planning stands a far better chance of success than a purely in-my-head approach. Compare two scenarios for planning a date. One person says, "Let's hang out sometime." Days pass with no details, half-baked texting, until eventually both parties lose interest. Another person says, "How about we meet Friday at 7 p.m. at that new dessert cafe downtown? I heard they have a salted caramel brownie that's a must-try." That's a plan. The difference? People respond far more enthusiastically to clarity. Organized planning is the difference between maybe, eventually, and yes, let's make it happen. You've prepared your plan. Now you face a crossroads. You can either hesitate and overthink or make the call and move. Napoleon Hill identifies decision as a step so often misunderstood and overlooked, yet so critical. Decision, the seventh step to riches. Hill found that every successful person he studied shared an ability to make decisions promptly and change them slowly, if at all. Indecision, on the other hand, leads to missed opportunities and a weakening of self-confidence. Why? Because vacillation erodes the trust you have in your judgment and fosters an environment of doubt. Behavioral psychologists identify analysis paralysis as a state where overthinking cripples action. In a world overloaded with options, whether you're choosing a career path, new software, or a simple pair of sneakers, decision fatigue can sink in fast. Hill's advice to be decisive resonates strongly here. The more time you spend waffling, the more opportunities slip by. Imagine an individual who's done thorough research on a promising clean energy stock. They have specialized knowledge, they're sure of its potential, and they have the funds ready. But as they hover over the buy button, they panic. What if the market dips tomorrow? Maybe I should read one more blog post. Days turn into weeks. The stock climbs 30% and they've missed their window. All their knowledge yields nothing because they couldn't move from plan to decision. But how do you strengthen decision-making skills? 1. Gather adequate facts, then cut off research. It's wise to do your homework, but pick a firm point, say, a deadline after which you'll act. 2. Ask the right questions. What happens if I do this? What happens if I don't? Understanding potential outcomes clarifies what's at stake. 3. Trust your intuition. Hill implies that your subconscious, especially if primed with autosuggestion and specialized knowledge, can offer valuable nudges. Sometimes those gut feelings are the sum total of your experience and research. 4. Practice with small decisions. Build momentum by making quick calls on minor things, like picking a new fitness routine or scheduling a lunch meeting. You'll get better at deciding on the bigger stuff as you develop self-trust. 5. Own your decision. Once made, commit to seeing it through without second-guessing at the first sign of trouble. This doesn't mean stubbornly ignoring valid new information, but do give your plan a fair chance. Think of buying a new laptop. Some people spend 6 months reading every review, visiting every store, and interrogating that one tech-savvy friend until the model they were eyeing is discontinued and replaced. Then they start over. Meanwhile, the decisive person read some reviews, recognized they needed a mid-range laptop for writing and streaming, saw a sale, and grabbed it. They got 6 months of productive use, while the over-researcher is still analyzing an Excel spreadsheet on CPU benchmarks. Hill would classify the second person as the prime example of decisive. Whether you're aiming for a dream career, personal growth, or entrepreneurial greatness, Hill argues that most people lack this: persistence. Persistence, the 8th step to riches. Hill famously writes that persistence is the sustained effort necessary to induce faith. Put simply, it's the quality of keeping on despite discouragement, distraction, or the sweet temptation to quit. Many set out on a new venture with fervor only to give up when obstacles arise. Hill says that such fleeting commitment won't cut it. If you examine stories of enduring success, from entrepreneurs to inventors, artists, and even sports heroes, you'll find a repeated pattern of discipline and never letting short-term setbacks define long-term potential. But why do we often resist persistence? In a world that's fixated on instant gratification, it's easy to default to what's comfortable. We'd rather not face repeated rejections or painstakingly chip away at a goal if we can avoid it. Social media often glamorizes quick wins, overnight successes, sudden viral fame. But Hill underscores that behind nearly every overnight success are years or decades of relentless commitment. Modern psychology terms such as grit, popularized by Dr. Angela Duckworth, align beautifully with Hill's principle of persistence. Duckworth's studies show that grit, defined as passion plus perseverance, predicts achievement better than IQ in many fields, from spelling bees to sales. Hill cites Fannie Hurst, the one struggling author who endured more rejection slips from publishers than most would dare to count. Yet she kept refining her craft, submitting her work, and refusing to accept no. Eventually, her books found enormous commercial success, and she sold film rights for sums that left even Hollywood moguls impressed. This underscores a crucial lesson. Some successes require you to knock on the door so many times that your knuckles hurt. Yet you keep knocking because you know, not just hope, opportunity waits on the other side. Hill describes multiple barriers that undermine persistence. Among them: 1. Procrastination, putting off vital tasks until tomorrow. 2. Fear of criticism, worrying more about others' opinions than your own goals. 3. Weak desire, wanting something, but not enough to endure hardship. 4. Lack of organized plans, a dream without a clear blueprint soon fizzles. These stumbling blocks can leave us half-hearted. Ironically, if you can identify and systematically remove these barriers, you gain a head start on 90% of your competition. Hill outlines 4 crucial steps to build unstoppable persistence. 1. A definite purpose, fueled by burning desire. You must really want something. If your desire is lukewarm, your commitment will be tepid when the going gets tough. 2. A concrete plan, expressed in continual action. Plan your steps. Even if your early plans prove incomplete, keep revising. Momentum beats perfection when it comes to forging ahead. 3. A mind closed against all negativity. You can't allow cynics, detractors, or self-doubt to sabotage you. As Hill emphasizes, negativity robs you of the will to fight for your dreams. 4. A friendly alliance with trusted allies. Surround yourself with individuals who challenge and support you, your mastermind group. A single phone call, text, or coffee chat can resurrect your spirits on a tough day. Ever start a workout plan with gusto, imagining the new superfit you, only to abandon it after the first day's soreness? You think, I'll just rest 2 days, which becomes a week, then a month. Hill would call that a direct example of insufficient persistence. One humorous remedy might be having a friend commit to an early morning group run. Why? Because your natural desire to avoid letting them down can outmuscle your fleeting desire to hit snooze. Persistence is a superpower in its own right, but as Hill explains, sometimes even the most persistent individuals need a special synergy to propel their goals. That synergy is found in the power of the mastermind. Power of the mastermind, the 9th step to riches. Hill defines a mastermind as a coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between 2 or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. Sounds straightforward, but he insists there's also a psychic or intangible side. When like-minded individuals converge around a common goal, they generate a collective energy that's bigger than the sum of their parts. Observers sometimes call it flow in group dynamics. Hill divides the benefits of a mastermind into 2 domains. 1. Economic or tangible. You pool expertise, share resources, divide tasks, and accelerate results. You gain fresh perspectives that solve problems faster. 2. Spiritual or psychic. An intangible third mind emerges from a group united in harmony. Some describe it as synergy or a form of collective consciousness. Modern research on collective intelligence suggests that properly aligned teams do exhibit higher creativity and problem-solving capacity. Hill learned about this principle largely from Andrew Carnegie, who said his steel empire grew by aligning a team of roughly 50 high-caliber advisors and associates. Their combined knowledge outstripped anything Carnegie could do on his own. In more modern settings, think of how companies like Apple or Google rely on high-performing teams. Steve Jobs famously formed pirate teams within Apple, small groups with a shared sense of purpose that sparked game-changing innovations like the Macintosh computer. Who belongs in your mastermind circle? Hill urges you to consider. 1. Shared values and goals. Is your prospective partner or group member equally committed to growth, innovation, and moral integrity? 2. Complementary strengths. If you're a visionary lacking in technical know-how, seek a detail-oriented collaborator. 3. Openness to ideas. Defensive people rarely thrive in a mastermind setting. Everyone needs to maintain a spirit of respectful debate. The main pitfalls to avoid includes 1. Negative synergy. When a group devolves into infighting, blame games, or big egos, it can drain energy instead of creating it. 2. Stagnation. Mastermind alliances require ongoing input and accountability. If members don't bring fresh ideas or consistent action, the synergy fizzles. 3. Vague objectives. Without a laser-focused purpose, a mastermind group risks becoming a social club rather than a powerful success engine. Ever been part of a mastermind group where each person complains about how hard life is, how they can't find clients, or how the world is stacked against them? That's the shadow version of a true mastermind. Instead of synergy, you get swirling negativity. Hill would say that's a prime example of why you must remain vigilant about the group's energy. The mastermind is supposed to amplify possibilities, not miseries. You now see how persistent effort, combined with the synergy of a mastermind, turbocharges your results. But there's a final force so powerful it can push your imagination and drive beyond perceived limitations. Sex transmutation. The mystery of sex transmutation, the 10th step to riches. Hill uses the term transmutation to mean transferring or redirecting an element from one form of energy into another. In this case, it's about channeling the strong human desire for sexual expression into creative or achievement-oriented pursuits. Don't misunderstand. Hill doesn't advocate repressing your human instincts. Rather, he suggests elevating them. Turn raw desire into a formidable creative force instead of letting it dissipate or direct you into destructive behaviors. Sexuality is among the most intense and universal of human emotions. But as Hill points out, that same driving urge that can lead to folly, if handled unwisely, can be harnessed for unstoppable drive, magnetism, and vision when properly directed. Consider historical examples of people whose passion drove them not only toward romantic conquests, but also toward epic achievements in art, literature, or business. Humanistic psychologists like Abraham Maslow recognize that meeting needs at various levels, physical, emotional, social, can free a person's energy for self-actualization. When you understand, direct, and honor your sexual energy, it can feed into peak experiences, heightened creativity, and personal growth. This aligns with Hill's notion that sexual desire can act as a stimulant to the mind, intensifying focus and emotional depth. The legendary tenor exuded a captivating presence that many attributed to his high sex drive, which he channeled into emotive performances. Audiences could feel his energy, which transcended mere vocal technique. While not detailed by Hill, who wrote decades prior, many accounts note Jobs' intensity in relationships paralleled his obsession with design perfection. There's an argument to be made that the same passion powering his personal life also fueled Apple's innovations. But how do you transmute this energy? 1. Acknowledge its power. Hill insists on recognizing sexual desire as a potent force. Many either overindulge in it physically or deny it entirely. Instead, see it as rocket fuel that can energize your broader goals. 2. Elevate your goals. The simpler your aim, like fleeting pleasure, the more quickly your energy drains. But if you hitch that desire to a transcendent purpose, e.g., building an impactful company, writing a groundbreaking novel, championing a humanitarian cause, your sexual energy merges with your imagination and ambition. 3. Cultivate emotional depth. Hill notes that real magic happens when sexual desire fuses with deeper emotions, such as love, romance, or spiritual unity. This transforms mere lust into a creative elixir. Think of it as lighting a candle with a far-reaching glow rather than a quick spark that fizzles out. 4. Channel through creative pursuits. Write, compose music, form strategic business plans, or engage in philanthropic projects. Whenever you feel that wave of energy, pivot some of it toward these pursuits. You'll be stunned at the insights or stamina you find. But be careful of these few misconceptions. Not celibacy. Hill isn't urging a chaste life. He's saying don't waste the power in frivolous or purely physical pursuits alone. Not manipulation. Transmutation isn't about using charm to exploit others. It's about harnessing your own internal wellspring of passion. Not anti-romance. On the contrary, genuine love and respect can amplify sex energy into unstoppable synergy. One might argue that healthy romance encourages true synergy rather than sapping it. Hill posits that many geniuses, ranging from scientists to artists, shared a high degree of sexual energy which they sublimated into their work. They used that heightened mental vibrancy to tap into realms of thought that seemed closed off to others. This perspective aligns with certain approaches in Eastern philosophies, like tantric traditions, which suggest that channeling sexual energy fosters higher consciousness and creativity. The subconscious mind, the 11th step to riches. Hill asserts that the subconscious mind is like a gigantic filing system or fertile garden, forever active. It processes and stores every experience and emotion you feed it, whether intentionally or not. Here's the crucial insight. Whatever you impress upon your subconscious, especially with emotion, becomes the blueprint your life tends to follow. Contemporary psychology discusses the importance of the subconscious in shaping behaviors and responses. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, hints that our deep-seated automatic thoughts spring from beliefs we've absorbed over time. Hill's approach overlaps with that idea, urging us to carefully manage the inputs we feed our subconscious, like positive affirmations, vivid visualizations, and emotionally charged goals. Elite athletes often harness subconscious programming through visualization. For instance, a gymnast will mentally rehearse a perfect routine, feeling each muscle movement and emotional surge. By the time they attempt it physically, their subconscious mind has the blueprint for success. Hill would say they have saturated their subconscious with the image and feeling of victory. Hill's practical advice on the subconscious mind. 1. Guard the gate. The subconscious mind is more impressed by thoughts accompanied by strong emotion, like love, fear, or faith. Therefore, carefully watch what you read, watch, and think about. 2. Nightly autosuggestion, right before sleep. When the subconscious is most susceptible, repeat your primary goal or affirmation. Infuse it with feeling. 3. Emotional depth. If you only intellectually recite your goal, it remains shallow. Add enthusiasm, desire, even gratitude to transform it into a potent instruction for your subconscious. 4. Continuous planting. The subconscious never stops working, but it does require consistent seed planting. Negative seeds will grow weeds, positive seeds will grow your dreams. Imagine your subconscious as a giant whale with an insatiable appetite. If you constantly feed it worry krill, late-night catastrophizing, negative gossip, it'll grow into a monstrous creature of anxiety. However, if you feed it positivity, ambition, and solution-oriented thoughts, it'll become your mighty undersea ally, carrying you toward the treasure you seek. Once you grasp that the subconscious is a 24/7 workshop for your life's blueprint, you'll wonder, how exactly does my physical brain transmit and receive these mental messages? That curiosity leads to the brain. The brain, the 12th step to riches. Hill compares the brain to a radio station. It broadcasts your thoughts outward and simultaneously receives thought vibrations from others and from the universal realm of infinite intelligence. The key is learning to fine-tune your mental dial. While Hill's language predated modern neuroscience, today's scientists confirm that the brain generates measurable electrical signals, brainwaves, and that humans are deeply social, potentially picking up emotional states from each other. There's also increasing study into how the mind might connect with broader fields of information. When a great team brainstorms effectively, it's as though ideas start popping out of nowhere. Each participant's brain picks up on the subtle cues, building synergy that can't be fully explained by standard logic. Hill's explanation, the group's unified purpose, desire, raises everyone's mental frequency, fostering a flow of shared creativity. Think of Apple's early Mac team or NASA's Apollo mission scientists. Here are a few practical steps to amplify your brain's power. 1. Stimulate creative brain states. Hill references the mind stimulants, for example, desire, love, sex, drive, music. Find your personal catalyst, maybe it's certain music or a brisk walk that tunes your brain to higher frequencies. 2. Practice mental clarity. The fewer mental distractions you have, like incessant social media notifications or persistent self-doubt, the more space your brain has to receive new insights. 3. Be intentional with your thoughts. Deliberately broadcast constructive, specific thoughts about your goals. This mental output eventually shapes your behavior, while also attracting like-minded opportunities. 4. Collaborate in harmony. Align your energy with others who share your aspirations. A small synergy group or mastermind can amplify each person's mental signals, leading to breakthroughs none could reach alone. Ever had a morning where you just can't concentrate and everything feels static in your head? We might call that bad reception. On such days, no matter how strong your desire, you seem disconnected from inspiration. Hill would say your mental tuner is off, maybe due to negative emotions, poor sleep, or stress. A short break, uplifting music, or reaffirming your goals can reset the dial. If the subconscious mind is the workshop, and the brain is the broadcasting station, then the sixth sense is your personal line to infinite intelligence. The sixth sense, the 13th step to riches. Hill describes the sixth sense as the creative imagination elevated to its highest function, where you momentarily tap into sources of knowledge beyond the typical 5 senses or rational mind. It's the channel for hunches, inspirations, and gut feelings that prove uncannily accurate. Hill admits this concept is difficult to explain or teach because it operates outside conventional cause-and-effect reasoning. The best approach, he says, is to master the first 12 steps. Once your mind is primed with all previous steps, the sixth sense can begin to appear organically in your life. Thomas Edison, Nikola Tesla, Leonardo da Vinci. Historically, many brilliant minds described moments of sudden clarity or receiving ideas from nowhere. Hill would say these glimpses of genius are precisely the sixth sense at work. But the crucial lesson is that they prepared themselves through intense focus, specialized knowledge, and unwavering desire so that these flashes could find a home in their minds. Few ways to cultivate the sixth sense. 1. Daily quiet time. Spend 5-10 minutes in silence or meditation, letting mental chatter subside. This sets the stage for intuitive sparks. 2. Mindful observation. Start paying attention to subtle hunches like a sudden urge to call someone. Keep a small journal to track outcomes. You might be surprised how often the hunch proves valuable. 3. Elevate emotions. Operating in gratitude, love, or faith lifts your mental frequency. Hill strongly believes positivity invites more intuitive breakthroughs. 4. Surrender control. Let go of excessive mental wrestling. Sometimes the best solutions emerge when you trust your subconscious and release your intense focus. You've probably experienced the shower phenomenon, an idea for your business or relationship suddenly popping up while rinsing your hair when you're not consciously trying to think of anything. Hill's explanation: you momentarily quiet your conscious mind, and the sixth sense sees an opening to drop a solution in your lap. Now that we've identified the intangible forces that guide success, there's one last hurdle to address: fear. Fear can block even the most powerful mind from moving forward. Hill calls these fears ghosts, and conquering them is essential for unlocking everything we've discussed. How to outwit the 6 ghosts of fear: clearing the brain for riches. Hill enumerates 6 fundamental fears. 1. Fear of poverty. 2. Fear of criticism. 3. Fear of ill health. 4. Fear of loss of love. 5. Fear of old age. 6. Fear of death. He calls them ghosts because they often have no tangible reality. They're illusions that haunt us, shaping our decisions and limiting our scope. But why are those fears so dangerous? Each fear can manifest in subtle ways: procrastination, perfectionism, or excessive caution. Over time, these behaviors congeal into failure habits that lock people into subpar lives. Whether it's refusing a promising business opportunity due to fear of poverty or not voicing a great idea for fear of criticism, the net result is stagnation. Hill's strategies to outwit fear. 1. Acknowledge the fear. Denying fear only gives it power in the subconscious. Recognize it openly: I'm anxious about money, or I worry what people will say. 2. Apply logic and reason. Fear thrives in the dark. Shine a light on it. Ask, what's the worst that could truly happen? Often, it's far less catastrophic than your imagination suggests. 3. Visualize the opposite outcome. Program your subconscious with success images. If you dread public speaking, picture yourself delivering a confident talk and receiving applause. This mental rehearsal rewires your response to the fear. 4. Take small, courageous steps. Instead of trying to leap tall buildings in a single bound, act incrementally. Each step shrinks your fear and builds confidence. 5. Use the other principles. Desire, faith, and persistence are your lifelines. When fear attacks, lean on your definitive purpose, reaffirm your belief in your abilities, and keep moving. Some people absolutely refuse to dance at weddings or parties, paralyzed by the fear of criticism. They imagine stumbling around while everyone laughs. Yet ironically, no one's watching that closely. Everyone else is worried about their own dancing. Once you realize the fear is mostly in your head, you might lighten up, give it a go, and actually have a blast. Hill's entire premise is that most fears are illusions that crumble with a dose of reason and action. By identifying these fears and systematically disarming them, you free your subconscious from their manipulative grasp. Suddenly, all the previous steps become easier. You can feed your subconscious mind the right signals, tune your brain to higher frequencies, and access your sixth sense more reliably, all because fear no longer clouds your mental airwaves. Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich presents these as catalysts that can lift us from humble beginnings to astonishing heights of success. But never forget, it's how we integrate them into our day-to-day life that matters. A wild dream desire becomes unstoppable when fueled by unwavering belief, faith, and ingrained through the language of the subconscious autosuggestion. Add in targeted expertise, specialized knowledge, and let your creativity flourish, imagination. Then craft a thorough strategy, organized planning, and move forward decisively, decision. This sequence, repeated with conviction, shapes the blueprint for greatness. Yet it's not just about material gain. Hill's work often speaks to something deeper: the empowerment and liberation that come from realizing we can shape our futures through our thinking. This sense of personal agency is priceless. When you awaken to the possibility that your thoughts, beliefs, and actions can shift your life trajectory, you experience a level of hope and excitement that's hard to extinguish. And it's this emotional fervor that sustains you through setbacks, skeptics, and even your own moments of doubt. So ask yourself now, what's your burning desire? No matter how far-fetched it may seem, truly decide to believe in it. Begin weaving in the daily affirmations, saturate your mind with possibility, gather the knowledge you need, unleash your imagination, sketch a plan, and move decisively at every turn. You have the blueprint. The next move is yours. Remember, this is just the beginning. Armed with the steps we've discussed, you can and should refine them, adapt them, and make them your own. These are living concepts. The only limits are the ones you set for yourself. So choose to set none, choose to break them, and watch your world transform step by step. Thank you for joining this deep dive. If these principles from Hill's book resonate, please share your greatest takeaway in the comments. Or try one principle for just a week, maybe daily autosuggestion, and let everyone know how it goes. The conversation doesn't end here. Keep exploring, keep applying, and keep forging ahead. Success is not a finite resource. It's a state of mind waiting to be awakened by those willing to think for it.